What's up, Marietta Wildemar Chamber of Commerce? This is Mike Monroe, and welcome to the Website Workshop. So first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors. I dearly appreciate your support of this wonderful educational program to help our members maximize their membership. I'd also like to remind you to follow us on social media. For Facebook and Instagram, please visit us at /MMWCOC. I would also like to remind you that we are constantly updating our YouTube channel with awesome video content regarding economic development, the community at large, as well as the business community. So for social media, I very much encourage you to select the See First option. Right now, what we have more than anything is an abundance of information. Alas, the information is not always credible. So I encourage you to select See First to ensure that your Chamber of Commerce is always top of mind. It'll help you get the right information and get the right information fast. Please also download the Member Plus app. You can find it at either the App Store or the Play Store, and it really helps maximize the day-to-day use of the services that I'm going to talk about today. I did record a 4-part video series about maximizing the Member Plus app, and you can find it on our YouTube channel. So I bring this slide up first because frankly, I think it really paints the picture of the population today. So I pulled this graph from iSafe.com, and it's screen time for Q3 2018, Q3 2019, and then now a screenshot of just March 2020 for the amount of screen time that people are using their devices. So just in the current trend from Q3 2018 to Q3 2019, it was already a substantial jump of more than an hour a day. But now that this whole world has become so virtual, it is absolutely critical for you to prioritize your digital presence, because as this graph states, almost over 13 hours a day people are spending in front of their screens. So I very much encourage you to really buckle down and invest in your digital presence. So I'm also going to talk a little bit about social media, and frankly, a change that you can make today that will step your social media game up almost immediately. So what I have here are 3 examples. So we have the first example, which is like your date night coupon kind of thing, right? And then we have a picture of a person, very silly picture of a person. And then the last example is we have a picture of people, but more importantly, community people, right? So let's dive a little deeper. So for the first example here, I want you to take a look at the amount of engagements that post has. 15. I'd also like to point out that there's 3 shares on that, which is still pretty darn good. It means that the Mill restaurant has a pretty solid street team helping the information get out into the community. Alas, this first example, I feel like, is the way that a lot of business owners approach their social media, is just this constant coupon barrage. And as we can tell by this example, it doesn't work. So if you can switch your mindset to start using your social media to tell a story, more so than just plug your product or your service, you'll see a massive increase over a set amount of time. So if we look at the engagement on the second example here, the Mill restaurant is wishing one of the owners a happy birthday, and a crocodile or an alligator, I'm not sure, I'm not a scientist, I always mix those 2 up, is taking a chunk out of the wonderful Tracy. Great picture, frankly quintessential to the Mill culture, and I know this because they are so good at telling the community about what their business means to them, and the kind of people that populate the lifeless walls, if you will, right? So if we look at that one, 280 engagements and 99 comments. You can't even begin to understand what that does for your buoyancy, if you will, when it comes to local searches. I'd also like to point out the third example here, which is a few staff members with the police force here. So the local police are loved by the community. We have some of the great leadership. And by taking that picture and ultimately showing that the mill is integrated and supportive of the community, there's over 600 engagements on that, which is insane. And a whole nother 47 comments in 29 shares. So really, I encourage you to rethink the way that you're leveraging your social media channels. Facebook and Instagram are not to make a quick buck. Does it work for some people? Absolutely. But for most businesses, telling your story and really perpetuating your culture into the community should really be top of mind. So here are some things that you can also do that will make a huge difference almost immediately. So when it comes to your online presence, I cannot stress enough that consistency is your key, specifically around name, address, and phone number. So what I encourage you to do is to go to your Google listing and ensure that on every platform you're represented, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Manta, Angie's List, any and everywhere that you're listed, ensure that the name, address, and phone number is consistent as possible. And little discrepancies can actually hurt you. So the difference between suite spelled out and STE or any abbreviation. So I very much encourage you to take the time and make sure all of that is consistent. I like to go a step beyond and actually copy and paste the about section from whatever my primary platform is. So like if Facebook is my primary platform, for the about section there, I just copy and paste that stuff over because again, it helps perpetuate this consistency. I also want to encourage you to push organic, keyword organic, Google reviews. So Google's system is smart enough to know when you are incentivizing Google reviews. So don't do it. But what you want to do is you really want to start to make, hey, if you could leave me a quick Google review, a part of your day-to-day language. If you have a customer, and I know you have happy customers, just at the end of the sale or the service or whatever it is, hey, it would really mean a lot to me if you could leave a Google review. And it really just boils down to asking the simple question. I've read stats that any business with over 200 reviews will get as much as a 40% boost in their online marketing efforts, specifically in Google searches. So very much I encourage you to really leverage specifically Google reviews. I think we can all agree that Google is really the primary platform for online searches. So I would very much encourage you to prioritize their products. Another thing you can do specifically if you're in the service world is get Google Guaranteed. There's still some folks that this is kind of news to them, but this is really more targeted towards like plumbers, window washing, very service-oriented things. And ultimately what it does is Google will actually guarantee the work. And this is a good opportunity to talk about this idea of Google, right? So Google has become such an extension of ourselves that I think a lot of times we forget that Google is also a business. And frankly, their entire business model is giving you, the consumer, the most accurate and most beneficial referral it possibly can. So Google has gone a step beyond and has started actually guaranteeing the work because their algorithm works so well that they are confident that they are going to give you the best answer to whatever service or product that you're looking for, right? So really think about that. Think about adding everything you can to your online presence to make you the most credible referral for the Google algorithm. I'll tell you, being a member of the chamber is one of the best things you can do for your credibility, specifically in the online market. So I also bring up verify your business. It's silly, but sometimes, I'll be teaching the class and there are some people who have not verified their business yet. You can do that and that will make a night and day difference on your online rankings. It's a very simple process. You basically apply for it. They send you a postcard with a code on it. You type the code in, you're set, you're good to go. But for such an easy process, if you have not done that already, like literally a light switch for you. So definitely prioritize that if you have not done that yet. Last but not least, I'd also like to encourage you to consider social media ads. As we saw in a previous slide, screen time is at an all-time high. And I've been hearing reports that people have just reached amazing audiences in just a vast amount of people for not even the full amount of budgeted monies that they set aside for that ad campaign. So very much, if you have the budget for it, consider it. That's where your folks are. So you may as well put your ad or your service right there in front of them. All right, so here's some of the things we're going to talk about today. I have keywords in all caps because that's really where the rubber meets the road here. And I'll get to show you all the cool things that the website does. We'll talk a little bit about hot deals, member-to-member deals, news, and job postings. I may get a little bit emotional. Workforce is something that we're very passionate about here at Tremerietta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. I'll show you how to put your events on the website. Although shameless plug for my app video, using the app is absolutely the easiest and most consistent way of putting events on the actual website. So make sure you check out that video. We'll go over the social media bit that's in there, and I will talk very briefly about enhancements, banner ads, and some of the cool things that we do offer as auxiliary or add-ons to your membership. So with that, let's go ahead and get assembling. All right. So I'm going to actually start right here on the mwcoc.org page. There are a myriad of resources and great places for you to plug in just right here on the homepage before you even log in. And historically, I don't talk about this in the website workshop, but I think it's critically important that I point them out to you. So first and foremost, a really, one more time, really cool feature about our site is that the business directory actually randomizes. So I know in the chamber world, fairness is really a big topic for us, right? We represent a lot of businesses over a lot of sectors, and a lot of times we have overlapping businesses that could technically be in competition with each other. Our site has you covered. So if we refresh here, you notice that top of fold is now completely different. So our site is actually set up to give you the opportunity to be the first call. And frankly, I think that's the coolest thing since sliced bread. High five, Chamber Master, you're doing it right. So next up, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to register for events. So your Chamber of Commerce obviously is event heavy. We have lots of ways for you to connect with your business community. Albeit right now, a lot of things are very virtual based. And frankly, I think we intend on perpetuating a lot of those in a virtual space because of the tremendous reach we have. But things like the breakfast will be in person because frankly, the food is fantastic. And there's no better way to start your day, at least on a really energized, wonderful, just platform by going to the breakfast. It's my favorite event, I'll be honest. All right, so on the topic of events, if we go to the events calendar here and we scroll down, you have all of these events here. So one of the cool features of our site is that member events and chamber events initially are shown in the same light. I always like to say that at the end of the day here, as members of the Chamber of Commerce, it's your voice. We're just the megaphone. So we want to make sure that we're showing your content in your events in the same light as the chamber stuff. Obviously, there's some things like registration that are through our system, which will, make call outs to chamber specific stuff. But it's still very, very useful. And then frankly, the coolest thing about this is that all of these events actually index in Google. So if someone were to type nonprofit event near me, you'll see on the scroll down, there's calendar, or Google actually has their own calendar plugin, and it pulls directly off of our site. So this is a great way, absolutely stellar way to get more eyes on the event that you're hosting. So with the two types of events that we have, ones with registration through our system, as well as ones that have registration through Zoom, I'm going to go ahead and show you real quick of what the differences look. So I'm going to call attention to this monthly mixer first. And if we scroll down, there is the link for the mixer. All you got to do is click that, register, you're good as gold, rock and roll. Now, for things that have a cost to them, there is a registration button for this one. So for the networking breakfast, you're going to go ahead and click the register button. It'll open up this separate page here. You'll get a chance to log into the back end of the website. And from the back end of the website, for any event registration, membership dues, any advertising, or anything that you paid for in addition to your chamber membership, you can always pay for those in the back here. So next up, I want to highlight some great resources that are on the site here. So currently, we have a highlighted resource here. And I'd imagine as we move forward into the new future, there will always be some sort of highlighted resource here on the front page. We have done some amazing stuff during the pandemic. And there are a lot of really pertinent resources for your business that can be found right here on this red dot. Also, at any point, you can always come back and reflect on your membership benefits. And I very much encourage you to do so. I always tell folks, as they're being courted or as they're coming into the chamber and we're having those initial conversations, that I try to ask pointed questions of what's going to mean most to your business immediately. Alas, we have so many benefits with the chamber. Frankly, in that process, it would take me at least 3 hours for me to go over every single benefit that we offer. So I encourage you to come to the membership benefits page frequently just to reflect on other benefits that you may have, like the Office Depot discount program or the insurance benefits program, or the constant contact discount. There are a whole bunch of wonderful things that you can use anytime as a member of the chamber. So another thing I'm going to point out is this Southwest Riverside County Military Affairs Committee tab. If you are a veteran-owned business, there are a absolute plethora of resources here available to you. Also, broken down in live, land, lead, and learn. So obviously there's all of these wonderful things that you can go to, extend your education, some great local veteran entrepreneur groups in services, and then also some really wonderful locals only military kind of programming and information stuff. So if you are a veteran-owned business, first and foremost, you get an enhanced listing is our way of saying thank you for your service. As well as the military badge. But all of these resources are at your disposal 24/7. Feel free to just click through on those links there. So let's go ahead and get underway. So I've gone over a ton right now, but you're probably asking, Myke, how the heck do I get to the members only page? So you can find the members only page by going right here to this login button. All you're going to do is click that. You're going to type in your credentials. And I'd like to point out that usually, keyword usually, your username is the email that you registered with. Sometimes folks will reset it to something different, but a lot of times it's just the first half of your email, just without the @ symbol. The password is another story. The system does require a lot of characters, so I very much encourage you to save your password. But at the end of the day, if you need to at any time, you can click this forgot username or password link. That'll help you reset those things. Or if you hit a wall, please feel free to reach out to myself or staff to help you reset that stuff. So once you get all logged in, you should land right here. This is the members only portal. Here is a quick overview of the social media piece, and I'm going to dive into each one of these buttons in depth in the following sections. All right, section 2 of the website workshop. There are some really cool things here, but I'm going to take a very 30,000 foot view for the beginning of this, because there's a whole section on really maximizing this thing, which is more of like your advanced section of this. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and go right here to the settings tab. So in the settings tab, you have two profiles essentially. Or if you have a million representatives, you can have, say, a million profiles. So there's really something to point out here. So you'll see currently I have this personal tab highlighted. So anything that you do in this drop down here will only directly relate and change your representative listing. So there's two listings that come with your membership. You have a representative listing, which is only available to chamber members, and you have your business listing, which is basically displayed on our chamber website on the business directory. So don't spend too much time on the representative piece here because only chamber membership can see it. Really what you want to do with this is just make sure that your basic information is in here and a way to contact you is set up here. Especially if you are the primary rep, any leads that come off the website are going to go to the email that is for the primary. So make sure that you have all of your information here set up so that you are really getting the maximum benefits from your online listing. I do very much encourage you to upload a photo. This photo will go right here, not here. This photo is to show you your own representative identity in the members only section of the website. This photo here is just to show you which chamber you're logged in on. So to give you an example, especially if you're logged in as the app, Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce, Murrieta Wildomar, and the Temecula Chamber of Commerce all use the same Chamber Master software. So if you are a huge community supporter and are members of all three, if your credentials for logins are the same, you can actually leverage all three chambers from your phone app, which frankly, I think is amazing. So when you first log in, it'll give you an option of which chamber you'd like to plug into. And then you can always tell which chamber network, if you will, you're logged into by looking right here on this big block. So for instance, on the Menifee Valley Chamber, it'll have the Menifee Valley Chamber of Commerce logo here. So when you get a chance, upload a photo. It makes a huge difference. We want to really prioritize people in everything that we're doing online. The digital space, I think we can all agree, is very sterile, very digital, very robotic, right? So we want to make sure that we're really prioritizing the human element to it. People buy from people. That's number one sales rule right there. So really try to make sure that you have a good photo there. I chose a wonderful picture of me and my beautiful wife because she's amazing and I love her. And I think it tells a great story of the culture. We're actually at the racetrack there. It's wonderful. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and go down to display preferences here. You don't really need to look too deep into groups or interests or social networks. This is specific for, specifically social networks is specific to your representative. This is useful if you're like a rep or an agent that works for a broker in the broker office, has the main membership, but you're, as a real estate agent, have your own online branding. You can kind of put your own online branding in for just your rep, but remember, only members can see that. So it's up to you to do that if you'd like. Where this really is important to point out are these display preferences. Privacy, especially for me, is very, very, very important. So I always like to make sure that the right information is selected for either the public or just members to know. I would very much encourage you, if you are very sensitive to your information, feel free to, only have the basics here in public, but I would very much encourage you to keep yourself open to the membership because connection is something that we do best. All right, so I'm gonna go here and do a very, very, very 30,000 foot view overview of the company tab here. So everything that you do under company will directly affect your online directory listing. So jumping into the first tab here, profile summary, try to get these as close to 100 as possible, but frankly, it is not necessary for you to rank well to have all of these things done. But I always like to harken back to this solely because it really helps give a good picture of where your profile is at. And sometimes I miss them. So going down here to organization information, this is all of your overarching info. So company name is going to be the way that you're displayed on the site. Little secret sauce trick of the trade, if you will here. If you do a dash and then add like your primary function or the primary service or the thing that you want to be found online for the most, I very much encourage you to do so. Do not get crazy with it. Remember, this is going to be listed like almost like a phone book, right? We don't want to have a billion keywords in your listing. But I do think it's important to tell people what it is that you do in your company name, because alas, those keywords pull really well, and I'll show you a little later what I'm talking about for local searches. But in the same breath too, sometimes we get really creative with our business names, and people are left scratching their head like, what the heck do they do? So make sure that you add those things there. Again, keep it minimal, but really think about the specific keywords that you want to be found for. Best part about this, people, is that at any point, if you want to log back in here and change the way that you are listed online, you can do so just by logging in, clearing a couple of boxes, clicking save most importantly, and boom, you're off to the races. So this is kind of the point here that I was referencing, name, address, and phone number. It is critical to have these exactly like you have on Google and really just across the board on everywhere that you're listed online. So I recommend just take the time, copy and paste it, especially if you typed in the application yourself. It'll make a big difference. So scrolling down here, address. This is the first instance of the nemesis of my class, which is the stupid little checkbox. So I want to encourage you folks that at any point when you're in doubt, it's probably a stupid little checkbox. As we can see here, there are a lot of instances of this. And sometimes your online directory listing won't be doing what you want it to. 9 times out of 10, it's a stupid little checkbox here. Let it be known though, if you ever hit a wall with any of our digital stuff, communication is really the thing that makes this whole concept work so well. So feel free to reach out to myself or staff and we can help you with it. So scrolling down, make sure you put your established date in here. I do very much encourage you to keep an accurate, up-to-date count of your employees. This chamber is very, 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 very passionate and involved in local workforce. So it is critical that we have an accurate picture of what our workforce looks like. So when we go and need to advocate for something that's pro-workforce or pro-business or whatever it is, having those great metrics really help tell the story best. And I think that's really the motif of this entire thing is we are storytellers and we're really trying to tell a story, right? All right. So going back up here for some more of your 30,000 foot view. This is the employees tab. So I reach this by, once again, settings, company, employees. So this is a very critical piece of the online membership. At any point, you can add or remove any representative of your business. So for us, obviously, we have the whole gambit listed as, folks that have access to the back end of the website. But I very much encourage you to add anyone that this would be pertinent to. This chamber is a lot of things to a lot of different people. So the more people that you get involved with our messaging, the more value you can get from your Chamber of Commerce. And I'll give you a perfect example, right? You talk with the marketing person in the company, they want to know about where they can get their message out. They want to know about the virtual mixers they can come to. They want to know of where they can generate the most business, right? Similarly, the owner of the business shares these sentiments, but a lot of times in different platforms, and they may actually be wanting to get involved with other groups from the sectors to help push things forward. Moreover, your office manager or the person that handles all your HR stuff is also someone that is great to be listed on this because we have stellar programs like discounted labor law posters and Office Depot discount programs. So frankly, the more the merrier when it comes to this back end of the website. Every single person that you give access to will have their own online profile. And it really gives this opportunity for us to network, leverage the membership foundation, if you will, but more the ability to connect and get the resources that are pertinent to that person's role. Not to mention the social media piece is fantastic. And the more the merrier when it comes to the social media interaction in the members only portal. You'll see more about that later. So I'm going to go down here to categories next. So this is the one thing in the back end of the website that you cannot change. I want to point out that with categories are really meant to be 30,000 foot view kind of categories, right? If you're a very niche specific business, use and point folks to that niche in your keywords or even specifically in your business name. The categories themselves are more for the grandiose business sector, right? So like advertising, media, and marketing is a great example. There's signs, there's promo products, digital marketing. I mean, there's a myriad of things, right? So just keep that in mind. If you do have some discrepancies with your category, or if you just want to have the conversation of how you're listed, please feel free to reach out to myself or staff. We can find something that will work for you. With that being said, you can only have two categories and only one can be a primary. So definitely keep that in mind. But alas, again, if there is a very specific way that you'd like to be listed, do not hesitate to reach out. We are more than happy to help you. So going down here to the membership badge, here is a image of your membership badge and the HTML element. I say this all the time. Again, this is your voice. We're just the megaphone. Feel free to put your chamber logo on your business cards, on your truck, on your whatever, on your social media, on your website, anything that you can think of. We are really proud to be a part of such a wonderful community that have worked so tirelessly hard to make sure that that logo really means something in this community. So I very much encourage you to use it. So very, 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 very quickly, and this is specifically tailored to those who have already purchased an enhanced listing or are a veteran-owned business or military business. I'm going to talk a little bit about the enhanced listing. So enhanced listings are gratis to veteran-owned businesses, military spouses, as well as military businesses, or they can be purchased for $250 a year. Now, what are the benefits of this enhanced listing? So there's some really cool features, but the big things that I'd like to point out is that with an enhanced listing, you'll have an opportunity to do photos and video, as you can see here on our page. These will be grayed out for you if you are not on an enhanced listing. You can still, however, have your own profile picture here, but again, the profile picture is not displayed to the public. Another feature of the enhanced listing is the highlights tab, which is a stellar way of compartmentalizing your own website on our website. That is a super advanced section. And last but not least, an enhanced listing gives you priority listing in our directory. So when someone clicks on like a quick link, you get priority listing. If we have multiple folks with the priority listing, it randomizes the priority listings separately. And then the last two things that are super rad is many more characters for like your about section, and then unlimited keywords. Unlimited keywords really being the exciting thing about that. So keep it in mind, it is absolutely not necessary for this to work. And I'll dive a little deeper into enhanced listings, non-enhanced listings, but just regardless of the enhancements, it's still crazy effective. All right, So now we're going to break into section 3, which I like to call the meat and potatoes. There are some really, really cool things here. And frankly, when I started with the chamber in 2017, I'm going through chamber assets, doing some local searches because I come from a digital marketing background. And frankly, I like to nerd out on that stuff. So I'm doing some local searches, and alas, I'm seeing our page pop up on the front page, and a lot of times even above the map pack, for some wonderful local searches. And my mind blew in that very instant. It was, this is an amazing asset. Why isn't the chamber using this? So really at that day, there was this huge shift, and that's where the birth of this website workshop came from. So I want to show you how well this works. Now, I've got some sectors that absolutely slay it, and I mean slay it when it comes to local searches. But alas, with a little bit of finesse, and we'll go over that a little bit more later in this section, you can really start to find your way to the top of the fold, if you will. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So first and foremost, I'm an incognito window. So for all you nerds out there, I wanted to make sure I was in incognito so I wasn't getting any cookies or anything, helping these decisions or the computer's decisions on what to display first. So I'm going to start right here. So advertising Murrieta, right? Again, like I talked about, advertising is really a wide sweeping query. I really try to keep these as ambiguous as possible to have the most competitive of searches, right? So check this out. So these are folks that are spending money to have top fold placement, right? And I'll mind you, pay-per-click is stupid expensive. I mean, it is exorbitant. But if it makes sense for your business, then heck yes. And if you've seen great results for it, then heck yes. Keep doing it. Anything that's working, I'll always support. But check this out. Right under the pay-per-click ads, this is our quick link. It's above the map pack. It's above Yelp. Google loves our website, and it is so cool. So if we go ahead and click this, this will take us to the quick link or the category. And as we saw before, it randomizes. So rad. It makes me very, very, very happy. So that's specifically for advertising. So here's another example for nonprofits. These are two incredibly competitive sectors in our area that we just slay at it. And as you can tell, it gets me very giddy because it is just so cool. And really what this boils down to is just good keywords and really leveraging your online presence. So I'm going to go out of market for a second too. So if we go out of market, we're nonprofit Temecula. It's not quite the same rankings, but this goes up and down depending on, especially when Temecula is really pushing their website. But even still, for the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce, nonprofit quick link is still pulling on the first page of Google. So I just want to take this time to really talk about how important this is. So prior to coming into the chamber world, I did digital marketing specifically for real estate agents. The amount of money that you can spend to get this kind of placement would make your head spin. I mean, there are folks that I know that'll spend 15, 20 grand a month on Google placement to get them to be the first top of the list. I mean, it's insane. So as you can tell here, for your minimal membership investment, the kind of exposure that you're getting for it is truly mind-boggling. I mean, membership is a drop in a bucket as compared to what you could be spending to get this kind of placement. It is tremendously cool. And if you can't tell, I'm excited. So some other markets, but more importantly, a specific member listing. So this is really to harken back to that concept that enhanced listings don't necessarily change how well your profile performs. Glenn over at Endeavor Video Marketing does not have an enhanced listing. All he has is video marketing in his title, and this is for the Murrieta search, and a single member is ranking above the map pack for video marketing. That, my friends, is worth its weight in gold. I know it doesn't weigh anything, but it's worth a lot. Like a lot. So it's super cool. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So this is Endeavor Video Marketing, and this clicks straight through to the single profile page for this member. So this thing is set up to take you straight to his website or to call him directly to learn more. He does have a lot of the direct contact through the site disabled. You can actually set this up to also capture information for you and set it up with leads and things. I do recommend keeping the amount of clicks to a minimum. In the digital world, we have this rule of three, as in 3 clicks or more and you're dead. So really try to streamline the process between an interested customer and their ability to buy. So again, not an enhanced listing, just a really effective website. The enhanced listing perks are more so with pictures and videos and things like that. It does give you an opportunity to make a better first impression on someone that is potentially a customer. But alas, ultimately, what this is meant to do first and foremost is to make your phone ring. So one more in another market. This is probably the most competitive of markets that we've looked at so far. And again, still front page of Google. This is another one that goes up and down, and it's sheerly because of how competitive the space is. But for Andy Morris and Wildemar Insurance, this is really something powerful. So definitely keep that in mind. So I know you've heard it from me already. Myke, I get it. It works. It's cool. How do I get the same results with mine? Let's dive in. So what we're going to do is we're looking at the members only portal here. We're going to be in the settings tab still. So from the settings tab, we're then going to click company. And from the company tab, we're then going to click website information. So once you click that, you'll notice first and foremost, we have our nemesis return, the stupid little checkbox. So I don't recommend editing your company name and your online information or organization information on this page. By clicking this box, essentially what it's doing is it's just auto-filling all of this stuff from the organization information. Totally fine. It's just one less thing that you have to do. And I know you're busy people. So secret sauce moment. First and foremost, we know what your website URL is. But I very much encourage you to use this URL text to make a call to action. Instead of just dropping your generic website link, you have the opportunity to change the text. So why not ask for the sale? Why not ask for a visit? Why not ask for a consideration? One of the big things I've done from selling for pretty much my entire life is that you never get unless you ask. So use the URL text to make a call to action. You'll be glad you did. So next up are the social media networks. So this is absolutely positively where you want to drop your social media stuff. So again, the nemesis, our stupid little checkbox. And this is probably the #1 call I get from members is, Myke, why isn't my social media stuff displaying on the directory page? And alas, it is because of the stupid little checkbox. So by having these engaged or clicked where a checkbox, like it has a check on it, it will then display those channels on your directory page. If this box is unchecked, it will not display this. So you have this ability to really just showcase the platforms that you use most. I'm going to get a little preachy for a second, forgive me. But I very much encourage you, if you have not done so already, to start curating video content. I've read a stat recently that businesses are reporting as much as a 50% increase in business from using video. Now, with this, you do not have to be Steven Spielberg in directing these things. In fact, realistically, just you being an expert in talking about what you do and why you're awesome and why people should listen to you is far more effective. To give you an example, if you don't know, David Shoup and the Shoup legal team are incredible at doing video. It's not super produced. In fact, most of the time it's just David giving a legal update about something that could directly affect your business and answering those frequently asked questions just on camera. He's also done a lot of great veteran challenges because he's a veteran. And lately I've actually been seeing Andrea jump on a lot of the video stuff too, which is super cool. So I'll tell you, just by watching them over the last couple of years, they've gone from, a very mom and pop kind of firm. Their staff is ginormous, and I would think that they would agree that their video and their leveraging of their video has been a big part of that. David is on there all the time doing updates. So while legal in those updates and those frequently asked questions may make sense, the point of this is just to get you to start to think about possibly doing quick videos. It is incredibly powerful if you do it, and I very much encourage you to at least try it. It doesn't have to be every week, it doesn't have to be every day, but maybe bi-weekly, once a month, just an update of where you are in the business. Feel free to use those videos to slay some misconceptions about your business. That's a big one. So at the foundation of all this, just be creative. The more creative you are, the more willing to be creative and showcase to the community that you have this spirit, the more people are going to buy into what you are and who you are. So web description text, moving on here. This is exactly that spot that why reinvent the wheel? Just copy and paste this thing from Facebook. It will save you a lot of time, and it's consistent. So here's your summary description. Definitely talk about, a 30,000 foot view of, what you do and who you are. Operating hours, again, make sure that this is consistent with Google. Driving directions, this is very extra, if you'd like. And then this highlight section is something that is exclusive to your enhanced listing users. So with highlights, and very quickly here, what I recommend you do with the highlights tab is compartmentalize your own website. We've already seen that this thing absolutely slays it in local searches. And a lot of times our site will be found before your own site. Google just loves local resources. It's just part of their algorithm. So let's empower your potential customers to have the shortest distance between what they're searching for and your answer. And one of the best ways to do that is to compartmentalize your website through these URLs. So what I mean by compartmentalize is that obviously have one directly to your fill form or your contact us. Have another one, and personally with that, I really encourage you having a quick about you and your fill form kind of in the same page. And then, for instance, have another one that's just a link to all the services or the products that you offer. Have another one to your staff or anything that's, your drop-down menus on your website. All of the most critical ones, definitely compartmentalize those into your membership directory because it's just less clicks to take the customer to what they're looking for. All right. So this is the most critical point about this entire video series. Keywords are incredibly important. So it is also incredibly important to note that unlike most systems, you do not need to separate your keywords by comma. Do not separate your keywords by comma. Just a space is fine. Also, you do not need duplicate words. So if you're not on an enhanced listing, you have 240 characters to work with. Some of the keywords that you should absolutely positively have in there are like your 5 cities. So Murrieta, Wildomar, Temecula, Lake Elsinore, and Menifee. Make sure that you have those in there. Some secret sauce things that you can put in there too. Near me, local, best is a good one. And there's a myriad of other ways that you can be creative. So very much, as I had said before, I really encourage you to be creative, but don't spread yourself too thin, right? Don't use your keywords to just have you pop up in every possible search query you can think of. It's detrimental for your business because it's not correlating to a search that someone is doing. So really try to hyper focus Really try to niche down on your low-hanging fruit, because ultimately the digital presence is one of the best ways to perpetuate that low-hanging fruit and those low-hanging opportunities to move you forward. All right, so now time to talk about section 4, which is the day-to-day. So as we dig in a little deeper here, I want to also encourage you that for the day-to-day stuff, I very much encourage you to download the Member Plus app. It makes the day-to-day so much easier. You can do it while you're mobile. You don't have to be in front of the desktop. And it's a great way to leverage your chamber membership from anywhere in the world that has internet. So I also like to say that for the day-to-day stuff, the app is your best friend. But if you're going to really focus in and hunker down and do keywords and make sure that your stuff is rocking and rolling, I very, very, very much encourage you to use the desktop site for that. It's just so much more intuitive for build out if you do it on a desktop. So something to point out before I go into these awesome auxiliary features is that at any point, you can tell how well your stuff is working. And this is what makes this really fun. Where we're going to go next is that we're going to go right here to this reports tile. So these are your reports. These are metrics of folks that are coming, landing, and using your online profile. This is cooler than sliced bread, people. A lot of times when it comes to chamber member stuff, it's this idea, right, that we're a part of something bigger than ourselves. We're supporting each other as a community. And a lot of these existential concepts that the chamber represents, it's impossible to put a metric on. So with this reports tab, it's specifically targeting your online listing and your online presence. We can slap a metric on that, which I think just adds tremendous value to your investment. Also, if you're like me and consider this stuff fun, you can also start to tinker, change keywords, add content, subtract content, and really kind of hunker down and get this thing humming. As you progress through the time, you can see specifically how many total views and impressions that you get. Banner ads, hot deals, and job postings are just some other things that I'll talk about in just a few minutes that can help drive those metrics up. But at any point, that 818 is specifically for the chamber listing within the chamber site, which I find redundant. But just to point out the fact that we've had 818 total views on our personal chamber directory listing on the chamber site is really stellar. Historically, I'm seeing anywhere from 1,200 to 2,400 impressions over a 6-month period. Which is really, really fantastic. But that number will be specific to you in your business, which is really, really, really cool. Also, at the end of your 12 months, as we're looking at renewal, please feel free to bring up the detail metrics that come with your membership. As an employee of the chamber, I can really hunker down and look at all of the details of what that number is. So like click-throughs for your profile, impressions, actual landings, leads, all of that stuff. It is really, 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 really cool. So enough on reports. We're going to go here first, which is your news tab. So with your news tab, there are 1,000,001 things that you can do here. And again, all of this is so much easier if you use the app. I encourage people very much, especially when we get to talk about the social media bit, try to log in at least once a week. See what's going on with your membership. If you have a job posting or some deal that you want to run that week, post it to our website. If you want to add something that's specific for chamber members, add it to the member-to-member deals. And I'll go over that in a little detail right now. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about this hot deal. So what is a hot deal? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's some sort of discount that's available to the public. So what's especially cool about the hot deal is that if you do have a hot deal active on your directory listing, you get this little circle badge that has a little flame on it, signifying that you have a discount. I've noticed that if you are using the hot deals, your engagement tends to go up. But you can also, you don't necessarily have to use the hot deal as some sort of, discount. You can also just use it as some sort of call to action, and more importantly, a way to get your profile listing to stand out a little bit. Because it's definitely opposite color of everything that else is on the site, and it really calls attention to your profile listing. So to add a hot deal is as simple as going to hot deals and clicking add hot deal. So your title, your tagline, make sure you have your category selected. This is critical to make sure that your category is selected in the back end of the website. If you do not have a category selected, you will not be able to post a hot deal. This is another common call that I get. So if you're not getting any categories on there, please reach out to one of us. It's a very simple fix for us. Also with the description here, again, if you have something like on Facebook, like that's already written, don't reinvent the wheel, copy and paste that thing. Time is your most valuable asset. Your meta description, which is just more things for your content, for posts and things of that nature. Short description, offer start date, offer end date, and then make sure to add a picture because people love pictures. Most importantly, make sure your contact information is up to date, because if someone engages with your hot deal, it'll ping you in the email letting you know that someone is engaged with your hot deal. Once you're all done with that, go ahead and submit for approval. Now, for everything I'm going to talk about in this section, almost all of it has submit for approval. So just to make sure that nothing heinous or crazy or so forth and whatnot is getting posted to our site, everything goes through the staff lens first. So keep in mind of what's going on with your chamber when you submit these for approval. So like if we're hosting a mega mixer, sometimes it's going to be about 72 hours before your hot deal makes it to the site. But when it's day-to-day, just standard rigmarole, most of the time we'll have your hot deal up almost immediately. But just be aware that sometimes it can take up to 72 hours. Or if it's the holiday season, we usually shut down for the last week of the year. So also keep that in mind too. You can see all of that information. If we're not going to be available, the first thing email is always going to be the best way to figure out why and when the best time to engage with us is going to be. So moving right along, we're going to go to member deals. So member deals are almost exactly the same as hot deals, except for they can only be accessed by members that have logged into either the app or the members only portal. So same drill, add a member deal. Let's go ahead and click this button. Title, tagline, category. Again, if you do not have a category selected, this will not work. So if you hit a wall here, please feel free to reach out to us because we're the only people who can change this for you. Description, again, copy and paste. All this extra stuff, and bam, add a picture. Submit for approval, you're off to the races. Moving through these, press releases. This is a great tool because any press release you do actually scrolls on the homepage of the website. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So here's the homepage. We've established that lots of people come to the website. And as we scroll down here, we have these active scrolls. So these are our new members here over the last week. These are your member news. So this is where your press releases are going to basically showcase. Now, if there's more than this amount of press releases on the site, it'll scroll and it'll just kind of run through. But this is a great opportunity to see what's up with your membership and a lot of times the things that they're celebrating. So to add a news release, you'll see it's very similar to everything that we've covered so far. You go to add news release. News release title. I would very much recommend writing these in press release format. Feel free to Google that if you were looking for details. Again, categories are critical. Make sure to add a photo. People engage with people. And then for this one specifically, because there's so many of us, and then similarly, because you're awesome and you added a bunch of representatives, just make sure to put the contact that is going to be able to answer any questions that anyone may have about the press release. And then once again, submit for approval. Job postings. This is another great one. CRPS currently is kicking butt and taking names. This is another one that just came up recently. So I very much encourage you to put your job postings on the site. A lot of times, members are either reps from companies or members that are going on to greener pastures or whatever it is, are looking at the site for job postings. This is a great place to put your jobs up. It's a great opportunity for folks to engage with you. And then also too, I always like to think, like, frankly, and this is a personal opinion, if I had someone apply through the chamber website to my business, it would tell me that they're more community minded, which would really kind of separate them from the pack. So very much something to consider. So with that, you can add a job posting anytime. Title, make sure you put your job description in here. And as you can tell, very, 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 very similar stuff here. And again, submit for approval. So last but not least in this news feed, we're going to go to social feed, but ironically, that actually takes us right back here to the home tab. And this is the example of the social media feed that I was referencing. So if we look here, you can share a text, link, video, photos, all this stuff. And it'll populate in here just like it would on Facebook. You can always click more and go deeper down to see all the cool stuff that is happening. You can like, you can comment, you can do all kinds of things. This is another thing that personally I really like using when it comes to the app. It's a great way to plug in, see what's going on with folks. I also encourage you to, if you have like a business to business question, feel free to ask questions and really leverage your network that you're a part of here at the Chamber of Commerce. So last but not least in this section, I want to take this time to talk a little bit more about the business directory. So with the business directory here, this is a listing of all of your members. So first and foremost, I want to tell you, this is not a cold call list. I'm going to say it again. This is not a cold call list. I do, however, encourage you to reach out strategically to members that you've wanted to connect with or businesses that you've always wanted to connect with. As you can see here, there is a lot of opportunity to connect with the specific reps that the business has set aside to interact with the community. A lot of times, if you're trying to get in front of someone to do business, this is a great way to strategically, again, make that connection. But alas, and the thing that I think is more powerful than anything else is opportunities to collaborate. Tom Grimes is a stellar example of this. He runs and operates avatar website design. He reaches out to his competition because there are certain things in his field that he just doesn't like to do. So he farms it out to people in his network that he's established. Similarly, those folks, there's things that they don't like to do. Therefore, they farm it over to Tom because he likes to do those things. And alas, he has this beautiful network of folks, and he's doing almost entirely just the stuff that he works or he loves. So I very much encourage you that if you're going to really start to outreach with this list, outreach with the mentality of helping a fellow member, but more importantly, start looking for opportunities to collaborate. Collaboration is one of the most powerful C's that your Chamber of Commerce represents. And I can't encourage you enough to reach out and find ways to work with fellow businesses, but again, sometimes even with your competition. All right, so in section 5, I'm going to talk about how to add any of your events to the chamber calendar, which we've already covered, actually indexed into the Google Events Near Me tab, which is super cool. So similarly to the things that we've seen already, like the hot deals, member-to-member deals, job postings, etc., we're going to go ahead and go over to this events tile here. So if you're currently at the home page, you're going to go here to the little calendar and go ahead and click events. So from the events here, you can see these are all of the current events. When you're in the app, this also lists, and it's a very, very, very easy way to stay up to date with what's going on with your chamber membership. Even more importantly too, if there are events like the networking breakfast, you can actually register for the networking breakfast right through the application, and it is awesome. So with that, this is how we add an event. So if we go right over here to this add event button, you click that, and then you start filling in the blanks. The event start date, the event end date, if there's a reoccurrence. I very much encourage you to do these as standalones. So for instance, if you're celebrating like a week of something, please don't block out an entire week on our calendar. Let's always remember that these are community resources, so we don't want to be blocking everything out and just kind of calling all the attention just to you. We represent a lot of businesses, so I very much encourage you to be respectful when using these resources. But if you do have something that starts on a date and ends a week later or a month later, what I encourage you to do is to put the calendar invite up as a start date. And then in the description or the details of the calendar listing, make sure you put the fact that it goes for the entire month. Moreover, other ways to engage, like your social media channels, and especially people to be in contact with. So similarly, we go through the details section, meta description, search description, the location that's going to be held, date and time it'll be held, fees and admission if there are any. And then again, your contact information is absolutely critical. So one of the things that we can see that's very different from events versus all of the other things that we've posted so far is that with event categories, we have a plethora of event opportunities. There's no limit to these, but I would very much encourage you to really hunker down to what is going to be the audience that you're trying to reach. Now, again, with the event specific stuff, you can really go wild with photos. So you can have your event header, your main event photo, search results logo, and then also have a gallery of photos for your event listing, which is really, really amazing, especially if you've done this event before. I recommend using the gallery to show happy people from your past events. If it is hosted specifically somewhere, you can also do the Google Map pin on wherever it's being hosted. And we also have a YouTube video feature. So with the YouTube video, all you're going to do is pull the link from the YouTube channel and drop it right here. That will then get the YouTube channel video to populate on your event listing, so you can really go wild with this stuff. This is one of the most utilized resources of the Chamber website because of just how well it works. So I very much encourage you to do this. And it's not exclusive to major events. I mean, if you're like a financial advisor and you're holding an open house, feel free to put that up there. There's a lot of things that you can really do to, ultimately leverage the site for you. And like I said, it all indexes in Google, which is absolutely amazing. So like everything, once you're done with filling out your event specific stuff, make sure you submit for approval. But again, be mindful of what's going on in the Chamber world right now, because there's a chance that it could take up to 72 hours to be posted. So just be mindful and make sure you're in communication with staff. So last but not least, I'm going to talk about some of the auxiliary things that you can add onto your membership. So some of these auxiliary things are, again, the enhanced listing, which you can buy for a yearly investment of $250. And as you can tell, there are a ton of things that you unlock with that. But one of the things that I'd really like to call attention to, just because of how well they work, is at any point you're welcome to run banner advertisements on our website. So banner advertisements are anywhere from 75 to $200 a month. Um, Frankly, with the way that they're set up, I very much encourage you to do the $200 a month package because the banner ad goes on a plethora of pages. And usually at the $200 a month level, you will end up with somewhere around 11,000 impressions per banner per month. So there is a really, really, really stellar opportunity to put your message in front of members, no matter what page they're on. Especially if you gear those things towards a call to action. If you can't tell, I'm a big fan of the call to action and a firm believer in you never get unless you ask. So if you'd like to learn more about that or the enhanced listing, please feel free to reach out to myself. Especially if you're looking at the enhanced listing, there's a bunch more secret sauce that we can add to that to really kind of hunker down and make sure that that thing is rocking and rolling. But I think the biggest thing that I want to leave you with is that remember, this is a living, breathing organism. You can change, you can add, you can subtract, you can refocus, you can defocus, any and everything you can think about with the way that you're represented on the internet is available at your fingertips 24/7 from anywhere in the world with the internet. So to give you an example, if, for the month of January, your primary targets are reaching out to, fellow real estate agents, right? But in the month of February, you decide I need to build my, my more residential basis. You can start mixing and matching keywords to really point your directory listing to whatever niche you want to serve. I cannot stress enough, the more you niche down, the better that this works. And frankly, there are folks that I know that have made an entire career out of servicing a niche. So definitely consider that. So we have reached the end of the program. I hope I didn't miss anything, but if there's any questions that you may have, myself or staff are happy to answer questions for you. If you can't tell, I personally really love talking about this stuff. So feel free to nerd out with me about digital marketing anytime. I would also like to thank our sponsors again. It is because of you folks that you've empowered me to get this wonderful messaging out to the community and ultimately are empowering the membership to maximize their membership. So with that, I wish you all farewell. I very much encourage you to use the app on a daily basis. But until next time, thank you for your investment and thank you for being a part of your Marietta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce.